Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things going on in the real estate industry, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success, guiding you to the top 10%. I'm your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside my co-hosts, Brooke Massey and Casey Tudor. How are you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Great. Grand. Good. Great. Grand.
We're like very passive aggressive
That reminds
this
me,
morning.
what's that from? Good. Great. Grand. That's from Billy Madison, like the school bus driver or whatever. Or
I don't remember that.
you don't?
No.
Well,
And ask me.
Sounds funny, though.
movie,
it's pretty
remembering all the movie
Yeah, that's not
topics
Brooks.
is like a secret man superpower.
I don't. If it is not, then that sucks because I don't have that power.
But it's always my guy friends.
That do
Nick
that?
comes up to me, and he'll say something, and then Casey says it, and I'm just like looking there like, I don't know what you just said.
Well,
but it's funny. But
I've been
I
watching,
wish I could laugh and think it is as funny as you are.
I think
Dude.
I've asked you. You guys, do either of you watch Suits? Have you watched Suits?
No.
No.
Well, the two main characters on there are guys, and that's like that's one of the things that they do. Like even when they're mad at each other, like they'll like quote movie lines like
that's good.
to each other, like they're acting it out, you know.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Don't you dare touch my drum set.
I know
Stuff
that
like
one.
Stuff like that.
There you go. See?
What's that one from? I'm just kidding.
Step
I'm just
Brothers.
kidding. I know.
Just making sure.
Okay, so what are we talking about today? I think that today's gonna be good.
Today's going to be fun.
Yeah,
It's going to be different.
We're going to get
fun
real
day.
about real estate.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you just wanted to say that.
I know. We talked about it yesterday. It's like, that should have been our slogan the whole time.
Let's get real.
This is
about
the
real
Open Books
estate.
Podcast where we get real about real estate.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
There's nothing wrong. Nothing says that we can't change it to that.
Okay, we'll discuss in our next podcast meeting.
But
We
no,
don't have.
but no, let's talk about, I want to talk about, and I want to get to know you guys a little bit more, especially Curtis.
Hey,
You
that's not
back
what we
in
talked about.
in your production days.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not going to ask you personal questions.
I know.
So, but unless you want to, but
We'll see how the first questions go. and then I'll let
I
you
know a good one from him.
you know, a good one from him, like a good
A
story.
good story.
I do.
Well, why don't you you want to just share it real
Yeah,
quick?
just share one. If you have one
So-
that's off the top of your head, do it.
I didn't even put any thought into this, and I knew we were going to. Once we get going, I'm going to have.
I got some
I know I've
easy
got
questions,
tons.
and I got some deep
But
questions.
Curtis decides as a newer agent, and this was before I became an agent, I believe. He is showing clients houses, and he decides that, oh well, the house is for sale. We can just go on in. I mean, surely that would be okay. And then what happened, Curtis?
Well, there's been multiple times that I've just kind of gone into houses.
Yeah, you set an alarm off.
Yeah, I had the police called on me. I feel like that you haven't really been broken in as a real estate agent until you've had like the police called or an alarm go off or walk in on a naked person or
I've done that.
a dog to bite your head off, you know. But okay,
I mean-
so I was at an open house. And I had people come in, and I was able to I talked to them, figured out what they were looking for, and I knew of a house down the street that had what they wanted. And so I said, I convinced them to let me go take them straight from the open house to go look at that house. And I wasn't going to miss that opportunity. Well, I didn't have a showing scheduled, but I really wanted to impress these people. Like, I can get you into anything, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a realtor. I can, I have the keys to the kingdom. You need me to access these houses. That's what my thought process was.
I have the way. I am the way.
Well,
I'm Curtis Haddock.
we go to the house and I call the listing agent. I wasn't going to not try to set an appointment, but this was at a time that people were starting to really use showing time. And I think that this listing didn't have showing time set up. It was a new construction listing, I believe. And anyways, I called the agent and they didn't answer their phone. I left a message.
Course.
I called the office and the person at the office was like, well, I can take a message for you.
I
And
bet
I'm
you
like,
will.
And I'm like, I'm not going to hear back from them anytime. Like, you know what?
I'll just wait.
I'm just, no, didn't wait. I'm just, I'm here. They'll understand. I made an attempt to schedule an appointment, and so I was like, we're here. Like, let's just go in. The client's like, okay, and I open the door, and immediately, the alarm goes off. It's loud, and I'm like, oh crap! And I'm like frantic, like trying to call the agent again. Like I called her like 2 more times.
Oh, and, now you're just embarrassed because your clients are there.
Super embarrassed. I don't think I even landed these clients after that. Oh gosh, the alarm's going off, and the police ended up showing up at the house. The agent finally called me back. I don't know if she got a call from her seller. She must have, because she called me pretty quickly.
Oh, so she was available.
And she was pissed. I mean, she was so pissed at me, and I was just like, I get it. I'm sorry. Like, I
didn't do it.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Deny. They can't prove it that it was me, except they can, because
we were there.
Well, and your number goes on the lockbox thing. So there was no getting out of it. I just apologized and told her, like, listen, I wasn't thinking. I wanted to get these people into the house so they could potentially make you guys an offer. And she was like, well, if you would have looked, it's pending anyways.
Oh my God.
And I hadn't realized that they had already sold it. And so, they literally had just marked it pending, like the day before or something. I mean,
that totally happens.
Yeah.
Okay,
so now all of a sudden I've got a bunch of stories that just flooded my brain.
I don't even have to ask questions.
But that is one of my pet peeves is whenever, especially, well, obviously that one was pending, so that doesn't matter. But when you're trying to show a new construction house and the public may not understand this as much, but like
I knew it was vacant. That was
so it's vacant. No one lives there, and then all of a sudden, whenever you try to get a showing request, it takes like 4 hours for them to approve it. It's like, click the go and show button.
Yes.
Let me in the dang house.
Right.
Yep. I'm trying to sell it.
Yeah.
And a lot of those last minute showings are the ones.
Yes. And
100%.
And don't set your showing up to, or your listing up to have a 2-hour required notice.
Yeah.
Like if it's vacant, it's you can they can schedule it on the spot.
And your buyer doesn't understand, like, they go, well, it's vacant. And it's like, yeah, but they won't let us in for 2 hours. And they're like, why? And it's like, because they are dumb.
It's like, how do you explain that to your client?
If we go in early, I could get in big trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I only was in jail for 2 days from that.
Yeah, nice. They let you keep your license.
You were fine. You made $100,000 the next month.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So realtors, I mean, people, we always have intuition and feeling, and I pull up to this house to show it. There's a car in the driveway, which is not uncommon, but it always makes you think like,
that was
that
a big
dog?
Sneeze.
Oh,
someone just sneezed like 4 rooms away. You can hear.
Now, hey, you'll be able to now see at this point in the audio if
we'll hear
that sneeze. You think we're gonna hear?
Oh yeah. Well, we heard it, right?
Yeah.
So our ears are this close to the mic. So yeah.
Well, what good are these mics then? You told me
they're as good as our ears. Apparently,
they're the best.
Into the mic,
you do.
So then I can talk like this.
You still can, but now your audio is going to be quieter than it was
because it's not as close to the ear.
For those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, you have no idea what I just did. I bet you can figure it out though.
Okay, my first story will be about the going into the wrong house. So I'm showing cookie cutter houses, and we walk into this house, and it's like, this is the house, right? And they're like, yeah. I mean, there's the kitchen's there. That's just like the pictures and the layout. Yeah,
but you
this
said
is the house.
Cutter, okay.
But there's mattresses all over the floor. There's like 10 of them.
Oh shit.
But there's no one there.
Are they stacked or they're just side next to each other? Like just
they're kind of next to each other.
So like there's not like stacked.
It was a
double.
daycare. It was a daycare.
Oh, okay.
And so a home daycare, and I guess they were on a field trip or something because they weren't there. But we're walking in, and then we look at the house, and then we shut the door, and then I look 2 doors down, and then I look back, and both the houses were for sale, but I had requested a showing on the other house, and so I was like, oh, there's the house that we're supposed to go see 2 doors down. So I'm like in someone else's house, which I mean that's a way to get shot.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I mean, it really does.
And so
I've never walked into
I was
someone
like,
else's
oh my
house.
God.
I think I have such a overwhelming fear of that even because I like subconsciously, I'm like, okay, this is the house. And then I like make sure I look at the picture and then I look at the house and then I'm like, okay, this is it. Then I get out of my car.
Yeah.
But even when I know someone like lives there and I'm opening the door, I'm like slowly like
What do you,
panic
do you
to,
say
like,
anything
look.
when you open the door?
Oh yeah. I'm like, hello. Like
Yeah.
just awkwardly just to be funny or whatever, but also too like secretly like make sure no one's in there.
Yeah. So
it's probably safe in our good friends.
So I've rung
over at what's the at Practical Preparedness.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
100%.
Probably tell us that that's smart. What
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've even like knocked on the door like 5 minutes early. Like I'm knocking, I ring.
Yeah.
I look through, I can't see anybody. It's quiet in there. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
shit, it's only 5 minutes. We're fine. I open the door. This lady comes around the corner. She goes, excuse me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, we have a showing at 11. She goes, I have 5 minutes. Just a total bitch.
Well, then she's probably cranky and probably is like,
Yeah,
had
and
people
it's
come
like-
Is
through
this the
their
one that
house.
was like getting out of the shower, or didn't you have
No,
one?
not
like
getting out of the
that?
shower, but I had one where I'm showing. It was a really weird day because it had stormed the night before. So at this particular house, I had a pool and there's like branches in it, and like you could see the damage when we come in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so you're already thinking about that when we show up. The front door is open,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, that's it's just everything is weird, And so we go inside, and we start looking around, and I see a massive bra hanging on the closet door. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, we get a showing,
Well, this is not show ready condition.
It's not show ready. And then, like, there's a purse on the table, and it's, like, dumped sideways, and there's, like, medicine bottles, like,
Oh gosh.
hanging, like, that had basically it fell over and stuff came out on the table.
Uh-huh. Then he
And
found a sock next.
no sock. But basically, things were just weird. And then, so we go down the primary suite hallway, and I can hear, like, some noise, like some fans,
Yeah.
like, and then so like the door's open, it's like cracked open. So as I get closer,
Oh gosh.
I realize, oh, there's someone in that bed, and then I hear a dog growling, and so
This story is very weird.
I turned to
just
my
so you know.
I turned to my client and I said, "Let's get out of here." So it was Joanna. As we're headed down the hallway, I can hear this dog running after us. And I'm almost to the front door, and the dog catches up to me and starts licking the back of my leg.
Oh man.
And I turn around, and it's a big old fat English bulldog.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Chihuahua.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, here comes his owner down the hallway, butt naked. What's going on? So then I turn around, I'm like, we have a show, and she's like, what? And like, she's naked. Her bra is on the door. And so
You're just standing there like, can we show the house?
yeah, so I'm like showing her my showing time app.
Yeah.
Like as
You have
she's
a confirmed
she's like
showing.
looking at my phone. I'm like,
And
how
she's
about-
naked?
How about we just leave? Yeah, I'm like, look, we haven't. She's like, oh my god. She's like, I had no idea. I totally forgot. Like I was sleeping. I was like, well, I know.
I could tell.
Yeah, so that was very awkward.
I think I've told you. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was like, I
don't
have
wanna
a
cut
story.
you. I don't want to catch you. Okay, your turn. I already went.
I was like, the only craziest, like,
and then we'll let you ask
police-
questions because we haven't even gotten into you asking.
no, it's all
the
good. That's why I said
questions.
maybe I don't even need to ask questions.
Yeah.
Unless
So,
you have some good
so I
ones.
feel like we should do this, like, often anyways.
Yeah.
I have one about a baby too when you get done.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys the time where I was the most embarrassed in real estate.
Okay.
Next, I think you both have heard this story, but our audience hasn't, and so I might as well just go ahead and just get
Rip the
personal.
Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and
They
just
might
say
judge
it.
me after I tell this story. No, I'm building suspense. You go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
And, if you want to hear my embarrassing story that you might think about me differently after, then stick around.
I think I know. I can't wait.
I think you know too. Yeah.
No, the craziest time I ever had to deal with like cops or dogs or anything like that. I was in the house that we were under contract with, and it was a recruit, and I was there training her on inspections. It was her first ever inspection she ever had, and so I show up, and the neighborhood's not a really good neighborhood, and I get there, and she started explaining how the cops were just there. And I guess the husband and wife across the street were like yelling and screaming at each other. Then they left.
Excuse me, we have a showing. Could you tone it
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
Could you
So,
tone it
anyways,
down?
we're continuing inspections. Well, next thing you know, you just hear someone just screaming, like at the top of their lungs, in the house across the street.
Okay.
Then next thing you know, I see a drawer go flying through the through the window into
Oh
the
my
front
God.
yard, and we were like,
That's great.
and she
Someone
just
just
started
got kicked
throwing
out.
everything. She threw a TV, like it was insane. And then the dog ran out and was scared to death. And this was like the sad part because I'm
man.
an animal lover.
Yeah.
Hid underneath my new agent's SUV and would not get out.
Oh,
I ended up
man.
having to call the cops because she was so violent and destroying. Like the house.
Was her partner, spouse, whoever were they there too? Or?
I don't think so. I think they left, and I think she was just mad and just destroying
So
everything.
something happened.
Yes, and so I called the cops because I was worried. I'm like, this girl's about to like catch this house on fire or something. Like it was that bad. And then I spent another 2 hours after inspections to get her dog. She ended up coming out. We ended up talking to her. She told us the whole story, and the dog would not get out from underneath the SUV. My agent would drive forward, the dog would go forward.
Oh,
She'd
you
drive
even turned
backwards.
it on and try to get. Did you try to rev up
Yes.
the car and everything?
Everything. The dog would not move.
Man.
So it was like, it was just crazy.
So you said that you would move up and the dog would go with it.
Yep.
Dang.
It was like very, very scary. And then
Yeah,
you get
that's
underneath
that's
by
stressful.
the tire. Like, yeah, it was very, very stressful.
And nobody could like get in far enough to grab it. Maybe hold it
He
while
was
you
so
drive.
scared.
Yeah.
And if anything, I just wanted to take the dog home with me
Yeah.
and say, screw your owner at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did the owner even know that their dog was outside?
Yeah, she was out there trying to help us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
He's
crazy.
probably
So-
like looking at his owner like, "You're crazy, lady."
It was a lot.
I
So
have
I
a-
was like, man, okay, I'm ready to go home.
I have a dog story with
You just told a dog
with
story.
Joanna. Another one.
Another one with the same client.
Yeah. So
By the way, how'd you get this client, Casey?
this wonderful person gave her to me.
I know.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that
And
we talked about the nudist colony last episode, and then
Oh,
I went on
yeah.
a FISBO, and the girl was a nudist and
That's
told me all
insane.
about it.
That's
So
so crazy. Well, was that our last episode we talked about it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
It was.
There's a reason why. I mean, if I hadn't given Joanna to you, and listen, Joanna,
taught
if
me a
you're-
lot.
If you're listening,
She's taught me a lot.
It doesn't surprise me because I think she knows a lot, and I would, and I think that she has made you put up with a lot to teach you.
Oh, yeah.
in other ways to be resilient and
Yeah.
how to be just open and just direct with people. But if I hadn't given her to you, and Joanna, if you're watching this, I think you're a great individual. I have no issues with you, but Casey has definitely she would not be a client if Casey didn't take her, because there's just no way I would have been able to be as patient as you have been with her. So just wanna
Yeah,
give you
she's
props.
taught me a lot. I really appreciate her for that. But so we go look at this acreage. It's like 12 acres, and there's a dog park on it. Well, as soon as I pull into the
Remember
gate,
this.
as soon as I pull into the gate, there's a bunch of dogs that like surround my car, like big dogs, and they're barking. I'm like, how am I going to even like get out of the car, kind of thing. Well, the owner ends up coming out and he's doing something. Well, then whenever we can't even see the house because it's one of those ones like, if you're interested, you can see the house later kind of bull. Well, then as we leave, the dogs are still outside and I can't get the gate open to leave. And so I had to take the gate apart.
Dang. How'd you do that?
I had tools in my car.
How'd you get to your car if you were stuck by the gate?
I parked my car in a way to where the dogs couldn't get to me while I disassembled the gate.
Oh, wow.
And then I got back in my car, drove out, and then I leaned the gate up so where the dogs just couldn't walk out. But it was another one of those situations where the agent doesn't even put his cell phone on the MLS. It has to go to his office. So I told the office, I go, I'm stuck inside this property. He needs to call me like right now.
I feel
Of course,
like-
he never did. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm taking this person's gate apart.
I feel like that I wish there was a way um, to tell sellers how important it is for whoever's listing their house to be available. Like if they're not going to put like if I know I'm competing with somebody who has their TC or their office answer everything for them, then to me you're doing a disservice to your seller. Now, on the flip side, the argument is when you're running a business, if you have multiple listings, you don't have time to answer every phone call. So if you are going to set up a system where someone else is going to do that job, then make sure they are trained and that they're going to do the job.
Yeah. Well, and that's why your sellers
and have authority to make decisions.
Well, and that's why they need to listen
Yeah.
and have a plan, because I did this yesterday. I told my clients, I said, they're like, oh, well, we really need to sell our house fast, but we can't show Tuesday through Thursday until after 5. I'm like, okay, well, and I told them, here's the plan. I'm not going to block out those times because then I won't know who isn't going to come show.
Yeah, they just won't schedule.
They just won't schedule. So I said, let it come in. Don't decline it, and I'll call them. Well, I'm sitting at that dinner, and they get a showing request. Yeah. And they call me immediately to want to talk about it. And I said, and I text them back. I go, is this about the show? And they're like, yes. I go, I'm going to handle it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, thanks. And I'm like, we already had that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it goes, though.
Yeah. But it's just like, that's why people need realtors, because it's like, even though I already prepared them for the situation, they still didn't know how to handle it.
And let their emotions, run their actions, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Embarrassing story.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
I mean, Brooke thinks she knows what it is. Casey, do you think you know? I'm sure.
I don't know.
I think you do. This is like...
If not, we have new dirt to hold against you.
At this point, you can't really hold it against me. You can just make fun of me for it.
I blast this specific podcast.
Yeah. At this specific minute, Mark. Hey, guys,
I'll
listen.
make like 7 reels out of it.
Yeah. You're not going to believe it. As I start telling it, you'll have to tell me if you remember what I'm talking about. And I would be shocked if you didn't. Okay, so this is also like this is actually... earlier than this is when I started as a part-time agent. Okay. So this is when I had 0 training. I had very little to no broker support. I was figuring everything out on my own. I was at a company where it was the broker, okay, the broker's daughter, me, and one other guy.
Oh my gosh.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the broker, when she hired me or let me or decided to sponsor my license, she prefaced it with, well, I was somebody who was never going to sponsor license. She's like, I don't want to take on the liability of other people, but because of who is referring you, I will make an exception. So my introduction into this was already thinking like, this is somebody who doesn't even want me here, but they're just making this an exception.
Yeah.
And the reason why I didn't have broker support is because if you put 2 and 2 together, she was at her own brokerage just to produce. She was what people do when they just go off on their own to get 100% and work out of their home. That's all that it was. Okay. So that was I knew nothing. So I had some clients that I went to church with, and it was like my first or second like actual client ever. Okay. And I was showing them properties, and these clients, they wanted a deal. I probably showed them again. I didn't know any better. I probably showed them 30 to 35 houses over 4 months. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe 5 months. And so I just didn't know any better, and they just were not decisive people. Well, there was a house that came on the market. They started looking at short sales, but for me, I don't want to have anything but time.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't have any other clients. Nothing. I was the agent that was.
You probably learned a lot on those 30 to 40 shows.
I did. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't have any other clients, so I have nothing but time. Like I didn't know any better. I just was like, I mean, I probably spent more on gas than I made in commission on this deal. Like no joke, because they wanted a deal, and they were looking at back in that time. I mean, we're talking 2009-ish time when the financial crisis was happening. I mean, we're talking that you could get a really good house for $125,000. Okay. So that's the kind of the price range they were looking at, like 75 to 125, something like that.
Oh man!
So and at that time there was a ton of listings out there to look at. Well, we found this house. It was listed really low for the neighborhood. Turns out it was a property that was like in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and they were just, it was like list to sell. I mean, it needed a lot of work. I wouldn't even say it was listed to sell. It was listed for the condition that it was in. So we go look at it. I show up. You guys are going to be surprised. I show up, 15 minutes early.
What?
Okay? And that's the kind of guy I used to be until I met April. I just want to put that out there. Love you, April.
Just kidding. We love you.
But she rubbed off on me and I rubbed off on her, because now she's like always on time and I'm always, you guys know. My own time, I guess. I don't know.
Anyways, embarrassing part. Get to it.
So we go. I'm just building suspense here. I go into the house and 5 minutes in, I'm waiting for them. I turn the lights on. I have to go to the bathroom so bad.
Okay. Yep, I know the story.
You know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah, but now I have so many more stories that just popped in my brain.
Well, that's why we're gonna do multiple of these episodes.
So I go to the bathroom, and I'm not. And when I'm saying bathroom, I'll let you guys put 2 and 2 together. 2 and 2 numbers there. Okay, I had to go. Okay, well, I was not smart enough yet to understand what it means to have your water turned on. So all I did was I was like, oh man, this house is some of the lights aren't working and stuff. I was like, I better make sure that the toilet works. And so I flushed the toilet. I was like, oh, water's good, right? Well, all I did was drain the toilet because the water was turned off, and so it doesn't fill back up with water.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together.
Courtesy flush.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Exactly. Courtesy flush before the courtesy happened. So I go, okay, and then I go to try to flush it, and I can't flush it.
Oh yeah, I remember this story.
Yeah, I can't flush, and I'm like, oh no, it's already embarrassing enough. You're worried about how it's going to smell, but when you have evidence still there that you cannot get rid of, it's even more embarrassing. So I'm thinking, I just put the toilet seat down, okay, and I'm just gonna hope that I mean, who picks up a toilet seat,
right?
Who does that?
Someone who needs to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. But in this case, they didn't have to go to the bathroom. He was just looking around. It was wild. So we're walking by that bathroom, and I see the husband go in there. And I'm like just kind of holding my breath, and he's just looking. And I mean, and the place was destroyed. So I mean, they was
already nasty.
It was nasty. But they were checking everything. They wanted to know if they were going to buy it. He opens up. He goes, "Whoa! Looks like somebody went to the bathroom in there." I didn't say anything. I was like, "Oh man, that's crazy that someone left number 2 in there." What kind of person would do that?
That's the telltale sign of who did it.
Yeah, right. I mean, maybe I don't know if they know to this day. I have no idea. Well, yeah. We finish the showing. We leave. I call the listing agent because I didn't want that to just sit there. And I told the listing agent, and I'm trying to think what I would do in this situation as the listing agent, because the water's turned off.
Right.
That's why you keep a water key in your car so you can turn it on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point.
As long as it's not
you say
there's
that,
a leak somewhere, that you'd be in trouble for flooding it.
That's true. But as a listing agent, you would know that stuff, right? And so you would hope that you would know that stuff. So I called listing agent and said, "Hey, I just want you to know we just did a showing, and for all I know, there might not have been any showings before me, right? I don't know because I didn't know how to.
That's
tell
weird. That was our first showing.
I know, right? Because I mean, it literally.
I'll never admit it.
Yeah, I don't know how long it was on the market. I can't tell you to this day, but. I told the listing agent, I was like, man, I just wanted you to know, I don't know, how long it's been there. It could, but somebody used the bathroom, number 2, and I just wanted you to know so it doesn't end up just sitting there. The water's turned off. Like it kind of grossed my clients out. And he's already thinking like the house is gross anyways, like whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So they move on. They didn't want to buy the house. And I'm thinking, I just left it in the listing agent's hands. I'm a new agent. I mean, I don't even know, I guess maybe turn the water on. But like you said, if there's a leak, I would have asked, is there a leak? Is it okay if I turn the water on real quick? I'll turn it right off. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I start showing them, 15, 20 more houses before they come back to this one. And they're like, okay, well, this was a good deal. I think we want to look at this house again. I'm not even thinking about what happened at this point. It happened. It was out of sight, out of mind. It had been a couple months since we had gone by this house.
Yeah.
Couple months. Okay. We walk back into the house. And as soon as we walk in, it triggers my memory. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, I wonder, if that listing agent ever took care of that problem I told him about. The husband opens that same bathroom door, and there are mice walking around the bathroom by the toilet and everything. And
OMG,
the toilet seat's still left open.
No.
And I was there. I mean, I saw in there, and he closed the door really fast, and I was just like, okay, this is disgusting. Super embarrassing. However, unless they're watching or listening to this right now, they now figured out that it was me. But I never admitted to any of that to them.
Did they buy the house?
They ended up buying a different house that was a short sale that took forever to close. Not only did I have to show them property for 4 or 5 months, then it took another year once they went under contract for it to close.
Oh my gosh.
And I for sure lost money on that deal and my dignity.
That's right, man.
Anyways, I was super embarrassing. If you guys, I don't recommend you leaving stuff, feces in the toilet for several months.
We had
stop at the Anki before you go there.
I had
exactly.
It doesn't work that way. You don't have to go until
Sorry
you get
for the long story for not getting to the embarrassing part sooner.
I was sitting at an open house, and this really old guy comes in a wheelchair with his family, and it's not even my listing, first of all. And so next thing you know, they're like, he has to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, the water's off, and they're like, it doesn't matter, he's going to go. Like, he has to go. And so I'm like, okay, so he's in there just, shitting his brains out. And I'm like, hey, no problem. I got a water key in my car. I'll go turn the water on.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's no toilet paper either.
Oh, shit.
Well,
no.
so I had paper towels from fast food that I eat in my glove.
Paper towels,
glove
like
box.
napkins.
Napkins, yeah.
Yeah, the big.
So I basically saved the day here, right? Like, I turn the water on, I give him something to wipe his ass with, and they're super thankful of it. And then at the end, they're like, we'll let our realtor know if we're interested. Thank you for letting us show it.
Oh my God.
This is my face. This is my face.
This is not where I expected.
What did you say?
Go. Yeah.
This.
And you just let them go?
Yeah, I didn't even know what to do. I mean,
I would have been like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm
After
getting
all
getting a referral
like,
out of this. I showed you this.
Yeah, no.
yeah, I was so like, oh, you mother.
I would have said you have a signed agreement, because if not,
Before you shit, you got to sign an agreement.
yeah.
So I was at my cousin's house selling it, and if they listen to this now, they're going to realize what I actually did. But they had a bathroom, the third bathroom in the very back of the house, in the last bathroom. So you got to walk all the way through the house to get to it. Well, I'm there 20 minutes early, and I gotta go. And so I turn the fan on, I open the window, and I do my thing, And as I'm sitting there about to
But
finish
did you
up,
preface this with, are you at an open house?
yeah, I'm at an open house. This is
Which
always
this
at an open house.
I was gonna say this
Yeah.
is like open house 101.
Yeah, and so
if you're slow and you want clients to come,
yeah, go take a dump.
go take a dump.
And so I'm finishing up, and I hear some car doors shut, and I'm like, no way! I'm like, it's still 20 minutes. It's 1:40. Well, it was my cousin's wife and her 5 kids, and so or 7.
door
They
unlocked?
have 7. Yeah, well, they have a garage door opener.
Oh, it was their house.
It was their house. So I'm finishing up. I come out there and I'm like, hey, what's going on, Liza? And she's like, well, I have this bath towel that I need to go put in the back bathroom because it's the only thing I haven't done in here for staging.
Did you say?
And
that?
I'm
Did you say
Literally
that?
the one thing.
I said I'll do it, and she's like, no, I got it. And I'm like, no, I'll do it.
Did you take it? Did
Yeah,
you do
I
it?
just took it from her, and I was like, I'll take care of it. I was like, I'll earn my money.
Did she?
And she's probably like, what?
Did she ever
the
figure it
hell?
out? Did you tell her?
No, she
Nothing.
never went back there. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like,
Close
what
calls.
are the freaking odds?
Well, I can tell you what the odds are.
Pretty
it's,
damn
It's
good.
10 out of 10 if that happens.
I mean,
I kid you not.
I'm just saying, I'm over here. I mean, I haven't shown as many homes as you guys have, but I have not done that.
Well, you haven't been in an open house where you had to go to the bathroom?
No, I make sure that I go before. Yeah. And then I don't.
I
have a
usually,
ton
I
of
mean, I'm
water.
pretty regular in the morning, but for whatever reason,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nature calls when nature calls. And if, you just never know. But when it happens,
I know. I am like
Just-
sitting open houses this weekend.
just know. Or if I were you, don't go before if you want clients to show up. you
Yeah.
That's,
know?
I like the idea of going on vacation and then I get clients. I like
That's
that
better.
idea.
that idea is better. But
lots of people lots of people that come through the open houses, they go take dumps.
yeah, I've had
During
that
it, it's like,
happen. I've
dude,
had that happen
really?
too.
Really?
That's embarrassing.
I've
for
had
them.
people like
I mean,
use the bathroom,
we
but I
need to
haven't even
change-
take a dump.
We need to change the term open house. Like, yes, it's open, but it's not yours.
Yeah.
Like
it's not that
the
open.
doors are open, not the toilet seats.
Right.
Well,
Just that's when you just take the toilet paper.
let's teach the people something in this podcast.
Yeah.
And here's what I want us to
Okay.
teach them. Tell us a story. Either one of you. I have one I can share. If you, I know you guys will have one, but tell them a story of where you lost your commission or had to give up some of the commission
got one.
for whatever reason.
I didn't give up my commission, but I was on the other side and I won it because someone made a mistake.
And you got to keep it, or your seller got it,
My buyer got it.
or your buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about. I mean, I guess you could share the lesson in whatever that agent did to lose their commission to your buyer. But do you have a story of anything that you have personally caused your commission to
Yes.
Oh,
take a dive?
oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah. Go ahead. You have one?
No,
Okay. So
I'm thinking.
I'm
Brooke is lucky because she got incredible mentors when she got started.
Yes.
You know?
well, that's
Yes.
weird. I had the same one.
Well, I was Brooke is a lot better of a listener.
No.
But you came in when I was still also learning a lot
Yeah,
too.
sure.
You know, so
Yeah.
I hadn't learned all my lessons yet to
Right.
teach you.
So I get an offer, and I've done this more than once, but I get this offer, and it comes in, and I'm telling my seller about what the offer was. Well, I didn't. I knew it. I read it. I saw that they asked for the washer, dryer, and fridge.
I knew this is.
Oh
the one.
yeah.
But whenever they didn't, or whenever I was presented it, I didn't tell them about it. So, so of course, and then they didn't read it, so they signed it. So I felt like I did the right. I needed to do the right thing and pay for their washer, dryer, and fridge.
Yeah.
This is like kind of a crappy deal anyway, and the buyer's
That
like,
happens a
I
lot.
want everything that I can get, or I'm out, And
Yeah.
so I knew how fragile it was, and they were buying my aunt and uncle's house, which is another story.
And another commission tied to it, right? I mean,
Sort of, yeah.
Well, I guess,
Well,
okay,
yes, it
sure.
was. So, but anyway, so out of like $6,000, I made $1,000, and
You only made 1,000 out of 6,000.
You had to buy a washer, a dryer, and a
in
fridge.
the fridge, yeah. And
That's expensive.
And
Yeah, I
this
guess that is
and
true,
this
yeah.
bitch tried to one up me
We got to
and
figure
try.
out what time is that at.
We're
That's
gonna
what
post it.
Well, I think that's one I would bleep. But okay.
Yeah, because I'm angry because
I'm angry.
Yeah, I have no problem calling her this because
Okay, well, let's see what happened, I guess, first.
she tried to one up me and tried to get a nicer washer and dryer set. I'm like,
on the same deal.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I have the model numbers.
Yeah.
And she
yeah.
wanted me to buy her higher end. And so I'm like,
man.
that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one
That's
thing.
greedy
And
people.
then-
Well, what you could have said, I mean, you could say, listen, if that's what you want, then I will give you the cost of what you had. That, and then you go to make up the difference.
My mindset in that matters point
Like,
was like,
don't-
I didn't even
don't-
have
don't
to do
do-
this.
right,
like, I could have
right.
said buyer beware. You signed it.
Right. You
Yeah.
I could have
yes,
done that.
Yes.
And so I was just mad. And then we do inspections and all that. And she calls me yelling, I don't know who did this, but someone stole my grandfather's baby chair. I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming anyone, but I want it back to where it was by the end of the day. I'm not going to ask any questions. I don't care, but I want it back. Do
This is
you
the one-
understand
this is the
me?
one where
Oh,
she
I hate when
misplaced
people
it.
do
I
that
think,
to
right?
me.
No, that's the way she's talking to me. And I go, look, I don't want a baby chair. The other realtor is 60 years old, has no babies,
Yeah.
and the inspector doesn't have children. Like, no one stole your. She's like, well, it doesn't just disappear. Like, just being super hateful.
I hate
I
people.
remember when this happened.
Yeah, and you want to know what happened? Her husband came and cleaned out the attic, and they didn't talk about it. So instead of her just going, "Hey, honey, did you happen to get the chair out of the attic?" And he would have been like, "Yeah."
Or
She just
to
calls and
give
starts
her-
yelling.
Or to give her the benefit of the doubt, I don't blame her for assuming if that's in her mind, her perception, it was there before the inspection, now it's gone. Like, to call you with without saying for sure I know what happened.
Yes.
and saying, hey. I had a chair, and before the inspection that was there, it's not there anymore. Like, do you know, like, if the other agent would have taken it? Like, what? I'm worried about it, and it's really important to me because it's from my grandma. Like, if she would have approached you with like kindness and not like assuming that it was you or the other people, then it would have been, that would be more understandable.
Yeah, she
you know?
like profusely apologized to me.
After? Good.
Yeah, which sort of helped, but then it's like they closed on their house, and the inspector at the time didn't catch that the roof was bad. So
Man,
then they
it's
got a
just one thing after
cancellation
the other.
letter. It was one thing after
Damn,
another.
they got
They-
from the insurance company.
what?
From their insurance company, they got a cancellation letter.
Which now I'm
Damn.
looking back, going, well, maybe they could have like done something else to get them to insure it.
Yeah,
You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
but the inspector paid for the roof.
Well, that's
So
like.
it was just like they were just getting like everything they wanted and like just being hateful.
From the time that you got them as a client to the time that it was closed and you were done with them, how long was it?
Oh, I don't remember that. And they were a FISBO that I converted.
Usually, that's how.
I'll
goes.
say-
Yeah, dude.
I think that's a very good point to leave our audience on of learning, because this is more of like a tangent, and because I've dealt with this twice now.
And I'm gonna. There's one thing I'm gonna say. I brought that up because there's a lesson too that
Okay.
I'm gonna teach.
Well, the assumption part is, yes, always take a good approach, whether it's clients or other realtors that you're working the other side with. Don't ever just assume something and then
Yeah.
attack people.
Even if you know
You-
the facts as they are, like
Yes.
if you don't know intention, right? So
No, thank you.
Yeah, you know.
So, I mean, there's two sides to everything. And at the end of the day, you're working together.
Yeah.
The commission, you're getting paid together
And then
at the same closing table, and you have the same common goal. So I always have the best interest of both clients.
Yeah.
Every single time. Of course, I'm there to back my client 110% when negotiations come up and paperwork and all that. But at the end of the day, if I can make both clients happy, that's going to be my goal, because then that other agent's going to like working with me, and just everyone's going to have a better experience.
Yeah, and agents don't, or the public doesn't realize like how much they actually need realtors. Like, they might complain about the commissions and stuff, but it's like sometimes they don't even realize what they put you through. When I called that other agent to tell her what happened, she was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell my buyer that we need to, like, we're not doing this through the rest of the contract, like accusing and blaming and pointing fingers and being crap. Like, she's like, no, I'm not. So like, my sellers almost lost that buyer like several times because of their behaviors. And I was able to keep it calm
Yes.
and keep it together.
Yeah, because you were the intermediary, which is that's why we're there, is to mediate the transaction
So-
for the most part. But okay, so my story, I lost all my commission, all of it, and the other agent got their commission. I did all the work.
Oh yeah, I remember this one.
Took over a year to do.
Shit.
Okay. Over a year from the time it went under contract to the time that it finally closed. It took exactly like a year and a month, something like that. We go under contract. And not only that, this is a house, for those of you who don't know Oklahoma City, this is a house that was in Tuttle, and I live in Edmond. Okay. So it's a drive.
Yeah.
Anytime
Probably
I
at
had-
least 45 to an hour.
45 to an hour. Every time I needed to go to that property. There's probably people like in Dallas right now. They're like, okay, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, well, but
Right.
that's also like a lot of miles. It's 45 minutes to an hour for them to drive one freaking mile.
Right,
So-
right, right. Big difference for
Yes.
sure. Because they could maybe try to time it
I hate
better,
that.
you know,
Oh,
with
yes.
traffic. But at any rate, it was time consuming. It was. I connected with these sellers and built a lot of rapport. And when I look back on it, I'm thinking these guys should have paid me regardless
Oh,
of
yeah.
what happened, you know? And because here's how it went down. We go under contract with these buyers. The deal starts to fall apart, okay? And this is back when it took an average of 40 to 50 days to sell a home, and their home had been sitting for 4 or 5 months. It was not an easy property to sell. It was on like an acre. It was older. It was not an easy sell for the price and where it was located. So we had a buyer, and these buyers really wanted this property. Well, their financing fell through. Okay, it was their credit, something like that, but they really wanted it. As soon as their financing fell through, the buyer's agent disappeared. Stopped answering their phone. Stopped even dealing with these buyers that were his, that he had signed up.
Do you ever know what happened to him? Why he did that?
Because he wasn't going to get a commission anymore, and because he wasn't going to be able to help them find another house because they didn't qualify for financing, any kind of financing they didn't qualify for. Okay, we had come to an agreement that we would lease the property while they fixed their credit to get financing. Okay, and so I could not get him to work with me on terms for this dang lease, and I'm sitting here like I really had a good relationship with these sellers. I wanted to help them, and I wanted to do the right thing, because even though I wasn't going to get a commission in that moment, I knew that it would
Get
come
referrals.
It would the referrals, and if these buyers really were going to fix their credit, they would come back around, and then I would get paid my commission. Okay, well. This was FSBO as well, and I was doing this one, I think, for a 5% commission, and so
I thought the standard was 6, Curtis.
yeah, right. There's no negotiation. But anyways, I get the lease. So I have to have direct contact with these buyers because they were calling me and trying to figure out, we really want this. Like, we want to make it work. Like, we're willing to sign the lease. Like, what's the terms going to be? How much do we have to pay a month? And it just had to be enough to cover the seller's expenses. And they wanted to make like $150 a month off of it, right? We agreed on it. Okay. We did it for a 1 year lease. Okay. But with the option that they could buy at the same price if they bought within that year. Okay. So I have to, the buyers are calling me during the lease, like almost monthly. Okay. I had to figure out how to connect the buyer and seller for the buyer to pay rent without them having to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not that I think that these sellers would have just cut me out of the deal, but I wanted to protect my own time and investment in it. So anyways, these buyers, that other agent completely disappeared on the contract and just stopped. 4 months into the lease, there's a huge flood in the property. Okay. And one of the pipes leaked or whatever. So my sellers, I felt for them. And this was not my fault, obviously, not my problem either, because I don't own the house. And it's not my fault that it didn't close and that this would have been the now buyer's problem, right? The buyers, with finance problems, they didn't have money to fix this lease. The owners own it; it's their responsibility, right? But they're thinking, "Man, you guys are gonna you're telling us you're going to buy it." Like it was just a messed up. The whole thing was just messed up. The timing of all of it. So, what we decided to do was, with the buyer's agent being completely gone and out of it. The buyer said, well, we want you to represent us, like you have been representing us. Is there anything that we can do to to help if the sellers pay this to where they could save money on the commission or whatever? And so, me being naive and you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't write somebody out of a contract on the other side. But they again had completely disappeared. Mm-hmm. And the buyers, they're the ones who wanted to fire this person because they hadn't talked to them in like 6 months at this point.
They contacted the broker, huh?
No, that's not what I should have done. I'll tell you what I should have done. This is the lesson I'm going to leave everybody with. So we make it to where the buyer's agent is fired, removed from the contract, and then I'm able to use like the 2% that I was gonna make, because I was like, shoot, I'm gonna make 3%. I'll make 3% instead of 2% now, and we'll use 2%, and when the seller can go ahead and fix the flood stuff, and that 2% that they're gonna save, that'll go towards the fix. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what we did. The buyers get qualified like 9 or 10 months into this thing, and they're able to purchase it. They have the money. Everyone's super excited and happy. We now go under we continue on with the contract. We get this thing to the closing table. Okay. Well, 3 or 4 days before closing, the title company contacted the agent that disappeared.
Oh,
the one that wasn't answering the phone, the one that wasn't helping with anything this entire year, okay? And when he finds out that it's going to close, he shows up. He shows up and he wants his commission. And he says he's gonna, and he tries to stop the sale. And I'm thinking, you asshole, like,
why would you stop the sale for clients?
Right. That's
my.
Well,
obviously
he felt wronged and he felt like he was owed a commission. And when I look back on it, he technically was. I mean,
okay.
And so, what we suggested was we escrowed the commission. Okay. So not only has it been over a year, we had to escrow the commission and go to mediation to fight for it so that the freaking sale could take place. Mm-hmm. Okay. We go to mediation. The buyers are on my side. Buyers show up for me. His clients showed up on my behalf.
Have they referred you since?
No. My sellers show up obviously on my behalf. Okay. My broker at the time was at this mediation, didn't help for nothing, and you can probably figure out, who that was and why.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't he talked a big game like, oh, we're gonna dominate this mediation, and we're gonna there's no way they could win this. He just ate everything that the other attorney, everybody had to say. He didn't counter anything and fight for me at all. Okay.
I can see the look on his face too.
And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, and I looked bad because I was mad. The other agent was lying under oath, mm-hmm. right? And he was lying about his involvement, like throughout the whole transaction. And I looked like it. I looked bad in front of the committee because I was like, do you understand what it means to be under oath? Like you are perjuring yourself right mm-hmm. now because I have evidence that right here. I brought all the text message. I brought all of the communication. You have not been in this transaction. Okay. Mm-hmm. The committee did not care. It's not about what's fair. Okay. So that's what I want to leave people with. When you are doing this business, okay, fair goes out the window.
There's no such thing as fair.
Well, it's the F word in real estate.
Yes. Because what's fair to you is not fair to you is mm-hmm. not fair to me.
What they care about is what is legal and what was papered. What did everybody sign off and agree to?
Yep.
And regardless of the buyer firing their agent, that agent was not made aware that, and the mistake that was made, if we would have just busted the original contract
and made a
new
but
one.
you'd had to have him to release it.
No, because the closing date had already
right.
passed. We were tied to that contract because of the lease agreement that tied us to the beginning of that and we used that same contract all the way to a year later. But it already was busted from the standpoint of it didn't close when it was originally supposed to close.
Mm-hmm.
So all we had to do was just do a brand new contract,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have eliminated him being around. So that was the mistake that I made. I thought I was doing the right thing and keeping a paper trail of what was happening. I didn't want to be shady, and I wanted everyone to know that their client fired them and didn't want them. And so, anyways, we had a cooperating agreement of 3%. Well, that's what the deal was on the table, was only 3%, right? So the buyer's agent got the full 3%. I got left with 0.
You already gave your 2% away.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking, surely the sellers aren't going to let me walk away with nothing. They did.
That's crazy, dude. Can I tell my story real quick about how I took commission from someone else?
Yeah, and then we probably need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
I'll do it quick.
They're probably not listening now.
No, they're listening. It's good stuff. So this is a referral from Joanna.
I was just kidding.
This is a referral from Joanna. So she refers me to somebody. This lady calls me and says, "Man, my house has been it's been listed for like 4 or 5 months, and I'm getting no traffic. My realtor isn't doing the things she said she's going to do." Yada yada. I say, "Okay, well, look, Amber, you've got to get it released, and then I can help you. Otherwise, I can't help you."
Yeah.
So she calls back and says, "Hey, the agent released it." I was like, "Sweet." So I listed her house. Well, then I get a call from this agent and she's basically like, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, you're under violation because you listed a property that's already has a listing agreement in place." I'm like, "No." She told me that you released it. She goes, "I didn't release it. I withdrew it." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Well, why?" She asked you to release it. Why would you withdraw it? And I didn't see the paper. I should have requested the paper. That was my big mistake because she did withdraw it, and my client signed it. My seller didn't know the difference, right? So, if for you guys out there that don't know, if it's withdrawn, the listing agreement is still in place. It's just taken off the MLS. So there's basically 2 listing agreements in place. I'm trying not to sneeze. So I said, "Okay, what do you want? What do you want?" Because me taking the property off the market, doesn't help the seller, and that's really
messed up.
That would be messed up. She goes, "I want 25%. I said, "Fine, you can have 25% of my listing fee." Well, she already didn't realize that my listing fee was 1.5 at that time, and so it was a $350,000 house, and we still had trouble selling it. And I got a buyer from an open house on it, and they came back 2 or 3 times. They finally put an offer in. They said, "Look, we're only approved for $300,000." And so we've been like dropping the price. I think we were at like 325 from 350 at this point. And I was like, I'll talk to I talked to my seller. So I talked to her, and she goes, "Look," she's like, "this is a really crappy situation for me because basically I'm getting less than I paid for the house, which she still had the equity. It was just unfortunate." And she goes, "But can you do me a favor and help out with the commissions?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So what I did was I dropped my listing commission to 0.5%. So, I signed off on it or whatever. So then whenever this lady worked for Metro First, so she
got her 25% check.
She got her 25% check, and it was like $300 instead of like $1,500 or $2,000.
Did she ever call you and ask what?
Oh, she called me. "What do you think you're doing? Blah 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 blah." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "You said you'd give me." I was like, "I did." I was like, "But I had to drop my commission down to make the sale work." I was like, "I don't know what you want me to do." And then she had her broker call our broker at the time. And then I get a call from the broker going, "What are you doing?" I go, "What do you mean?" And I explained it. And he's like, "Oh, no, you're 100% fine."
Yeah.
And they basically thought I was just not paying her what
was made.
Right.
Yeah.
But so
you told them the whole story about the withdrawal and everything, right?
Yeah. So it was just a big F you. Like, you don't treat people that way.
Yeah, and then even the broker agreed. Hey, that's been a lot more than 5 minutes. I was actually about to yell for you.
Yeah.
It's good. Is it good? Okay, thanks.
Shh.
I was just. Okay. Okay.
All
Well,
right, guys.
wrap
Well,
it up.
Wrap it up.
Today we got real about real estate.
Well,
So
any would you rather's real quick?
No.
Too long.
Too long.
So you weren't joking. You were.
I
being
wasn't
real.
joking. I learned something too that we should probably keep it to like 30 minutes.
Yeah, we do need to try to.
you
keep
did?
It, though.
Okay.
Well, I have a comment on that, and we'll talk after.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that in our next podcast meeting. All right, as we come to an end, just want to say thank you for listening. And if you like our content, give us a like, a subscribe, and click the bell for future notifications of new content coming your way. Yeah, you're just pointing like Vanna White. Yay. All right, guys. Well, we're signing off. I'm Casey Tudor. This is Curtis Haddock and Brooke Massey. And we'll see you next week.